Has anyone asked you or your tenant asked you about rent waiver or discount in this COVID-19 pandemic period? Here are the 5 factors that you should consider before replying. Now, why I do up this video is because the last 5 days, today is April 5th. The last many days I've been receiving calls from friends, from clients, from relatives, tenants, landlords, and asking the same question over and over. And so I thought maybe it's better I put up all the things together and do a video and share with all of you. Okay, before I get into the points, I would like to highlight a couple of things. Number one, the question may sound like being framed and asked from the landlord's angle, but if you're a tenant, you should also dive in and look at what the landlords are thinking, and what are the factors that generally are being considered. Because one day, who knows, you are going to be a landlord as well, yeah? And number two, most of the terms and also the context, the background is actually in Malaysian context, Malaysian legal constraint, Malaysian financial rescue package by the government, Malaysian government. But I believe the principle is generally the same and it works across different locations. There's one thing that you should not consider is how much you owe the bank and how much you pay the bank. Because in the eyes of the tenant doesn't care. How much you pay the bank every month is not his problem, it's not his consideration. Because how much you pay the bank depends on how much loan you take from the bank and how much price you paid for the property. So it's not a factor at all. Okay, now let's dive into the 5 factors that I want to share with you. Factor number 1, the bargaining power. Bargaining power means, as a tenant, how easy it is for you to find alternative. As a landlord, how easy it is for you, or how quick, how soon it is for you to find next tenants. If it is residential, what kind of property are you holding? Is that a oversupply, like in Malaysia, the condominiums that is being oversupplied? Or if it is a low-cost apartments or flats that is undersupplied, short supply in the market, that is actually a big factor. And if it is a commercial is ever more important about the location. Is the location with good frontage, and is the frontage important to the business of the tenant? That is also a very important factor. And maybe you should also consider perhaps your next competitor in terms of commercial unit, your next competitor is online store, online platform, online delivery. Perhaps this is going to be a bigger threat. And point number 2, the nature of business that your tenant do. What do your tenants do? Do you know? Maybe you should find out what kind of job, what kind of business, what kind of industry your tenants are into. Are they in tourism, or are they in food business, or are they professionals, or they are doing perhaps supplies of hardware and electrical items. Another example, maybe your tenant is a barber, is a hairstylist, and many of us can't wait to go to the salon to do our hair after the restriction order. Some recover their cash flow faster. This is important. Some are slower. And you want to find out how much actually it impacts them. If you give them some discount, if you give them waiver, how much is this going to help them? I'm curious now. Tell me about your tenant. What does he do? And your property. What kind of property are you having right now? What kind of property are you talking about right now? Put down into the comments below and tell me. Point number 3, market comparison. Look at your rental. Your rental price right now compared to the market price in the beginning. For example, let's look at condominium. We know condominium in Malaysia, it is going between 1,200 to 1,600, 1,700 ringgit in this range. And how much is your condominium going for in the rental right now? Are you giving him, let's say, 1,000 ringgit since the beginning? It means you have already given him discount since the beginning. But another example, if you are talking about your rental price being 1,800, 1,900 versus the average, that means perhaps you should consider, and you can consider, because it has been higher than the average since the beginning. Point number 4, the bigger perspective of this financial moratorium. Let's look at the 6 months moratorium period that is announced by the government. These 6 months, you compare to your situation as landlord. Your term loan, your property loan is 20, 30 years sometimes, and you are given 6 months moratorium. Moratorium means you suspend the payment, but the interest goes on. Compared to 6 months waiver or 6 months discount in rental for a 1 year, 2 year, or maximum 3 years tenancy agreement. You look at this perspective. Is this reasonable? Is this fair? Look at a bigger picture. Then you get a sense of fairness. You get a sense of perspective. That is very important. Okay, last point number 5. Human factors and relationship. I believe we are born human. We have to be humane, and we cannot escape considering this factor. Consider, how is your relationship with the tenant? How is the tenant with you? How is the spirit when you both talk about this waiver, this discount? How is the relationship like? And look at your property. How has the tenant been taking care of your property? Have you been checking, first of all? And one more thing, check the utility bills. Has he been paying the utilities? You know, in Malaysia, utilities, the biggest bill is electricity. Check the electricity. Has the payment been made? Or there is going to be a bomb, a huge unpaid bill in the utilities. Another thing is, I believe, in moments like this, we should take advantage what kind of person we want to be. As a landlord, you want to be a sensible, reasonable landlord. As a tenant, are you asking reasonable things? Are you going to be a reasonable, sensible, responsible tenant? Ask this question to yourself. So now your turn to tell me, how is the relationship with your tenant? Put down in the comments below, how is your tenant doing? How good is your tenant? Or if your tenant is bad, or your landlord is bad, tell me some examples. Put down into the comments below and share with us. So to recap, when someone asks you about rental discount or waiver of rental altogether, there are 5 things to consider. Number 1, the bargaining power. Number 2, the nature of business or the nature of work. Number 3, the market comparison. And number 4, the bigger perspective of this financial moratorium. And number 5, human factors and relationship. And finally, before we end, how do you find this video? Do you like this video? If you like this video, click the like button. Or you have other points that I've missed out. Do you have any other points that you can share with us and help all of us to consider so that we can grow wiser, stronger, and grow out of this situation together? Oh yes, before you go, remember to subscribe, click the like button, and share with someone you know. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.